This is the story of the PSTV, and I'll be willing to argue it's one of the stupidest console stories out there. On February 22nd, 2012, Sony released the PS Vita, and 10 months later, Sony would release the PSTV for $100. This price will be important later. For those of you who don't know, the PSTV was just a Vita in a box. When you played it, you had to play it like a normal home console, which meant you were stuck playing either portable games or portable versions of games. As you can imagine, not many people wanted this. If you're going to be playing portable games, most people will be wanting to play them portably, not strapped down somewhere. As you can imagine, it didn't really sell that well, and ended up receiving several price drops over time. On April 22nd, 2016, Hack Informer uploaded an article regarding its price drops, because by this point, the PSTV had dropped down to about $20, which, even hearing about it now, is just something else, honestly. However, 2016 was 6 years ago, and now it's a collector's item, so if you want it, you'll have to pay a little more than just $20. So while the PSTV has a stupid story, what about the PSTV itself? Essentially, you had a PS Vita that could not be taken portably and required you to have a PS3 or 4 controller as well as a separate monitor. To be fair, there are some bundles of the console that came with controllers, but for the most part you'd have to buy your own. Also, the issue with the memory cards carries over from the Vita. With the game situation, you don't have access to the full PS Vita library. Some games you can't access due to them having Vita specific features, but others you can't access just because Sony was too lazy to port them over, despite them not having Vita specific features. The lack of exclusives would really kill something like this when it comes to the Vita, because sure, some games on the Vita look worse and run worse, but on the flip side, they are portable. When it comes to the TV though, they are not. This is why many found it to be a pointless purchase due to the lack of exclusives, which is too bad because for $20, it would be a good way to try out some Sony exclusives, which you did get some of, but not as much as you should have. You're probably thinking, well Spence, it's supposed to be a console that gives a TV service first and foremost, not a gaming one. And yes, while maybe called that, it was not exactly advertised as one, nor does it entirely function like one.
I don't think Sony really did a good job telling people what this thing was. It was more of a small game console rather than a streaming box. This thing can't play Netflix or YouTube through their respective apps, so this thing is primarily just a stripped down game console, which is fine, but with a name like PlayStation TV, it's misleading, there's no denying that.